Most people who pick Shadow Shaman think that Serpent wards are his strongest spell. Well, most people suck. Hex is actually the strongest spell in Shadow Shaman's arsenal. Welcome all. Today you're in for a guide on how to play a staple of the supporting world in Dota 2. Shadow Shaman is the perfect beginner to expert level support because his toolkit has a little bit of everything. Wave clear, tower pushing, team fighting, high base damage, and most importantly, he is the king of disablers. My name is Navitz, and this guide is brought to you by GamerzClass. You can find the corresponding hour-long Shadow Shaman full in-depth guide on my channel at youtube.com/Navitz, or follow to watch me live at twitch.tv/Navitz. This will be the concise guide for those of you who don't have an hour to watch a complete game. There will also be an in-game guide. Shadow Shaman can be picked as a position 4 or 5. If you pick him as a position 4, you're likely starting with boots. And if you pick him as a position 5, you're looking to get more regen. Out of the gate, Shadow Shaman starts with some of the highest attack damage of any hero in the game, meaning he is great at taking trades. He can kite melee heroes while dealing tons of damage, and most importantly, he can deny a ton of enemy creeps. Don't be a low-skilled player who sits in lane AFK soaking up experience. Deny creeps, harass, or go stack and pull to control lane equilibrium. In addition to his right clicks, he deals a lot of damage with Ether Shock. Unless your team has one or more heroes that can combo with shackles at level 1, do not take it. Take Ether Shock instead and spam it while using up your clarities and mangoes. Also be sure to use Ether Shock on range creeps to secure the last hits. It is worth the mana. When you're trading, you should use Ether Shock in between attacks. After you see the right click projectile, immediately cast your Ether Shock and then right click again. This will cancel your backswing animation and allow you to get 3 hits very quickly. If you're against melee heroes, you should auto attack and kite them as often as possible without ruining lane equilibrium by drawing creep aggro. Level 2 is when you become a kill threat with your lane partner. Hit Ether Shock, hit Shackle. Let your lane partner know ahead of time so they can combo their spells with yours and then right click the enemy to death while they're shackled. Try not to stack your stuns if you have them. Maxing Hex is common amongst very high level players, but for most players, I would suggest maxing Ether Shock first for DPS and wave clear. Max Hex second and Shackles third. You'll want to take the health talent, then the cast range talent, then the shackle duration talent, and on the final talent, you're just make a decision based on how the game is going. You can also follow the in-game guide if it's one of your first times playing. If you're a position 4 Shadow Shaman, you should try to place a deep ward early game so you can see couriers and snipe them. Your first major item on Shadow Shaman will be Aether Lens. People try to skip this item and go Blink first, but there are a lot of reasons Aether is better. Mana regen is one of those reasons. First, you can start by building Arcane Boots, which will help you in early team fights and give your team much needed mana for tower pushes. Be sure to send clarities as well. When you have the gold for the rest of the Aether Lens, disassemble the Arcane Boots, build the Aether, then turn your brown boots into Tranquil Boots. Aether gives more passive mana regen, and the cast range is one of the most important parts of playing Shadow Shaman. Being able to hex and shackle from farther away will keep you out of dangerous positions and allow you to initiate from the fog or trees. At level 15, you'll also want to take your cast range talent for the same reason. In addition to increasing your cast range for spells, it also increases your cast range for wards, allowing you to ward areas from the low ground and without putting yourself in danger of the enemy. I've seen some disturbing information from other guides stating that you should use Serpent wards exclusively for killing towers. If you want to dispel this myth, just watch a pro player. Shadow Shaman is one of the only supports that is a massive solo kill threat to almost any core on the map that is alone. Your solo kill combo is as follows. Hex, right click, Ether Shock, right click, Serpent wards, Shackle. While they're shackled, select all of your wards by using your select all other units hotkey and then have them target the hero. This will stop them from targeting creeps or something else that shows up. When you place your wards, you can also trap enemy heroes inside of the ward circle. They will have to either destroy a ward to escape the circle or use an item like phase boots to walk through. You should use your Serpent wards to kill the carry or mid player. If a team fight breaks out, you have the initiation advantage and the enemy team will be fighting into the Serpent wards. If you get a kill on a core, this can usually translate into taking an objective like Roche or a tower. Also, don't save your wards. It is better to overuse than underuse them. Every time they are off cooldown, you should be looking to make a play around the map or take an objective. When your wards are down, it's a good idea to push waves in. Ether Shock can give Shadow Shaman fantastic wave clear, and it's got decent cast range, so you can stay safe while doing it. After Aether, if there are a limited amount of stuns, you can buy a Blink Dagger. With Blink, Aether, cast range talent, and psychedelic headband, you'll have so much cast range, 450 additional to be exact, that you can surprise people who think they're safe because of how far away you are. Now, this is the point where we explain why Hex is the strongest spell in the game. Most carries will buy a BKB to deal with spell damage. But how can you possibly BKB before a Blink Hex from the tree line? You can't. The enemy cores will have to buy Linken's, Lotus, or just play together to cancel your shackles. Hexing and killing a core before they can activate BKB can swing a whole game into your team's favor. After 20 minutes, a shard should always be in consideration for your next item. In addition to shard being great for pickoffs and team fights, it is fantastic for farming, even allowing you to farm ancients. The DPS is stellar and it's really good for wave clear as well. It's time to talk about the item everyone hates to buy because they hate winning. BKB is a must buy on Shadow Shaman if the enemy team has a lot of stuns. The most important thing you can do in team fights is disable and lock down key heroes for as long as possible. You also need to consider who you target with each spell. This will take practice and experience, but you can hex one hero while you shackle another. This can give your team the opportunity to burst down two heroes quickly. If your team fails to burst down the heroes in time, it can backfire and cost you the team fight. Sometimes it's better to completely lock down one hero for the full duration of your BKB. One thing that's important to add is that in most games you won't have the gold for a BKB, especially as a position 5. However, that being said, some games will go later and you'll notice that you're getting killed first in every team fight without being able to do anything. That's when you need to start building a BKB or a Ghost Scepter or an Aether Lens. Deciding who to hex and shackle can also be very difficult. This is something that you have to think about at the beginning of the game and adapt as the game plays out. Puck, Queen of Pain, Anti-Mage, Faceless Void, and any of the spirit heroes, Void, Ember, Storm, and Earth, are great examples of heroes who you would look to hex because they all have great escape mechanisms and can be burst down quickly. You probably don't want to lock down a position 3 hero unless it's someone like a Pango. If you can shackle high DPS heroes like Troll, Ursa, or Jug, you'll be able to reduce a lot of incoming damage in the team fight. So, Aether, Blink, BKB, Agnes Shard are all on the list so far. Glimmer Cape is another item that can help you disable for longer periods of time and also save heroes on your team. Glimmer can be cast while channeling, which is why it's great in combination with Shaman's Shackles and Witch Doctor's Death Ward. It will also force the enemy team to spend money and item slots on detection in the form of sentries and dust. Honestly, if you get decent timings on your Aether, Blink, Shard, BKB, then you're probably set to win the game. But if it goes super late, you'll want to look at upgrading your Aether Lens into an Octarine core, getting a refresher and an eggs, The most important thing in these late game team fights is actually going to be paying attention to what the enemy has in terms of items, and number one, positioning. A well-timed hex can be the difference between winning or losing these tight games. That'll be it for the concise guide. As mentioned before, the longer format guide will be on my channel at youtube.com/navitz, and you can follow along with the in-game guide. Until next time, one love.